Today is that day. You know, you tarnish the badge. You have failed everyone who's ever worn a uniform. Everybody wants you to do a lifetime in prison, and maybe that's what you deserve.
This corrupt sheriff made the worst decision of his life and got utterly destroyed by a judge who tore him apart in the courtroom. In June 2023, Sheriff Jamie Knoll of Clark County was arrested for misusing state funds and stealing over $5 million from taxpayers' money. He was charged with 31 felonies, and his wife and daughter were also convicted alongside him, as they had been using the money to buy luxurious cars, watches, jewelry, and even a private jet.
2018 and December the 31st, 2022, in Clark County, state of Indiana, you, a public servant, that being Sheriff of Clark County, knowingly or intentionally committed an offense in the performance of your official duties, that being goes to employment as Sheriff of Clark County relating to Brent Fisher. Counts 4 through 15 are all level 6 felonies, which have a range of imprisonment of no time in jail, treated as a misdemeanor, to 2.5 years at the Indiana Department of Corrections.
The sheriff sat listening to every felony against him and didn't seem to care one bit, assuming he is untouchable. However, this time his story had come to an end.
Surrender his passport to you by noon tomorrow, and then you will surrender it to the court by 4 p.m. next Monday, because it's my understanding the court here is closed. Of his choice to Indiana State Police, being from is appropriate for him to maintain. He will not leave the state of Indiana without permission of the court, and they'll post $75,000 in cash. Mr. Knoll, Mr. Wilder, I know you wanted him released without posting any bond, but it's a unique case, and you don't like my decision, I'm happy for you to appeal it. It won't be the first time you've appealed me, and the Court of Appeals told you I was right, so I'm happy for you to accept that challenge if you're so pleased. I'm not going to have you report in.
Despite the serious charges, the judge granted bond but made it clear it would only stand if the sheriff followed one strict condition.
You keep one shotgun only. Try to deceive me, you will not like the consequences. Understand? Yes, Your Honor.
Well, as expected, Jamie had multiple weapons in his house, and after the cops raided his home, he was exposed in front of the judge, who was fuming at his entitlement.
Today is that day. You are not the law. You don't interpret the law. You don't enforce the law. You're not above the law. I find that you are in contempt of this court. Take him into custody. No, that's enough. I'll find you guys in contempt for disrupting the proceedings, and you'll be there right there with him.
The judge had every right to be furious, and this was probably the first time Jamie was about to realize the gravity of his crimes.
The question is, I can sentence him up to 180 days without a trial, or I can sentence him to a day, or I can release him. You know what I think the answer is? 60 days in. That's what I think the answer is today.
This sheriff had also appeared on the A&E series 60 Days In, and the judge made a rather pointed reference there, adding insult to injury.
Before he is released, I'll take your suggestion. I want an independent individual to scour that household to determine that there's no further weapons. I find it, Mr. Ertl's original argument that he was trying to make that I sustained, an officer of the law, every time I go into court, I hear, I didn't know it was there, I didn't know it was there, I really didn't. You've heard that a million times. You've heard it a million times, and yet you still take them into custody, would be my guess. Every officer in the world has heard, I didn't know it was there, it's my friends. I'm not buying it. It was your burden, it's your responsibility, and today the court will enforce that. Take him on.
Just like that, Knoll was sentenced to 60 days, but his real trouble was yet to come. His trial soon commenced, and he eventually pleaded guilty to 27 of them, taking a plea deal. But before his sentencing, he had something to say in court.
Mr. Golf, if you would help, you may have a seat and read it.
I'm good. I want to make sure everybody can hear me, Your Honor. They deserve it.
Okay.
Some reasoning that I'm not going to say because I don't want to make it look like I'm trying to deflect blame because it's mine. The reasons of how this was allowed to happen, it's not who I am. It's definitely a big mistake that victims that you haven't heard from is my family. And I apologize.
The victims claimed that Noel's mismanagement would continue to scar their families for years to come, and it was during his sentencing when he finally shed some tears.
I asked my kids to forgive me, not being honest with them about where the money was spent or it came from. My dishonesty with them has caused them all great emotional pain and suffering. And my daughter Casey could lose her freedom because of me. It's all my fault. And my family had no knowledge of the business that I was running, or how I was running it, or whether or not I had the right to tell them how they could spend their money or use their credit cards. I controlled everything when it came to our family's finances. They were victims of my deceit just like anybody else. I hope they can forgive me.
Jamie was trying too hard to prove his family's innocence, as they had also been charged. But it's hard to believe they knew nothing, considering they owned 5 luxury homes and 20 classic cars.
Wife, 28 years to forgive me. I understand why she wants to end our marriage. I don't blame her. I violated her trust more than once, and I lied to her. I know this has caused her embarrassment and a lot of heartache and hatred being funneled towards her. I was not honest with her about the money, the credit cards, or her taxes, which I did. I let sin overtake me and I violated their trust. I'm sorry. I want to apologize to the men and women of law enforcement, fire, and EMS. I spent a lifetime as a law enforcement officer, volunteer fireman, and an EMT. I want to apologize to my friends and colleagues that have been brought into this case because of me. I'm sorry to each and every one of you. I never asked anyone to do anything wrong. I never expected you to do anything wrong, but because of me, you have suffered. I'm sorry for this, and I apologize. I'm Catholic, and I understand the Lord will forgive me, and I hope each one of you can forgive me as well. Judge, I'm going to say just a short prayer, because that's what I need to do. I need to make things right.
After the sheriff's crocodile tears, the judge prepared to deliver the sentence, but first, he had a few choice words for the corrupt sheriff.
I was here last Friday listening to arguments concerning John Miller and the change of venue because of public outrage that the citizens of Clark County have been directly deceived, defrauded, betrayed, ignored, all the while waiting for help. Mr. Knoll, you tarnished the badge you were given by the citizens who you tricked into voting for you and trusting you. You have failed everyone who has ever worn a uniform, whether it be law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, or the like, to promote democratic freedom. Yet you behaved as a political fascist, thwarting and bullying those who would not submit to your will.
Judge Medlock delivered some well-deserved blows as the sheriff sat silently, listening, but the judge didn't stop there, as he kept humiliating him, reminding him how he had become a complete failure.
We have heard today that real lives were lost in exchange for your greed. Employees lacked equipment and staff to effectively perform their duties, and therefore the citizens of Clark County, and perhaps Floyd County, lost their loved ones. The town of Charleston had to find means to ensure funding for a resource officer for their schools to protect their children, again, because of your greed. You failed as an uncle and a brother in all regard. You failed as a father. I would have thought that any honorable man would have accepted responsibility for their misdeeds instead of getting your daughter arrested and charged, yet you sat silent until today. Your commitment to your extravagant greed even went so far as to steal from your nieces and nephews. your deceased brother's children. What could be more reprehensible than that?
The judge ultimately accepted the plea deal, ensuring the sheriff would spend 12 years behind bars. However, many in the courtroom felt he deserved a life sentence.
Have revealed that your lust for power and pleasure are worth far more than the lives of those entrusted to you for your care. But today, the court says otherwise. Made argument that everybody wants you to do a lifetime in prison. And maybe that's what you deserve, but the law will not allow me to do that. I want you to suffer. And you can understand that, I would hope, considering how you've betrayed everybody that you possibly knew. Everybody that thought you were their friend. No one could barely look at you. He held you up as a father figure, supported you when you were telling everybody it's a witch hunt. He still believed you. Yet you deceived everybody. With reluctance, I will accept the plea agreement.
Noel is expected to stay a minimum of 10 years in prison, and his wife and daughter still have to go to trial. In addition, he must repay over $5 million to the agencies he defrauded, along with more than $200,000 in fines. Moving on, watch how this judge completely goes off on a tyrant cop.
Then I want you taking him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is...
In Seminole County, a judge was presiding over the trial of Lisette Gonzalez, arrested for DUI, but he soon discovered that the corrupt officer never conducted a DUI test and had lied in the court documents. Watch as the judge snaps and tears into both the officer and the attorney.
I want to be enlightened.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner.
I know.
Testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months for nothing. So are you going to null process that case? Or am I going to get mad at you?
Perhaps you can get mad at me, Your Honor, but at this point...
Why wouldn't you? Wait a minute. Did you hear the uncontroverted testimony of this officer?
Your Honor.
Then I want you taking him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is not true.
I'm dismissing. I am dismissing this charge. No, I'm dismissing the charge. This whole case was fishy, and I have no idea how they. You know what?
Their address on file.
You know what?
The state intends to amend
I'm
the
granting.
charge and proceed on
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
because you don't agree with the state's decision on
I'm
the
granting the
other charge.
JOA in fairness.
In fairness, because you don't like the state's decision today, Your Honor, on the case?
No, you're not. Now that I consider what Officer Wagner testified to and how many times he basically tripped over himself just to arrest this lady with no real probable cause. You're done. Motion, JOA is granted.
And you're not going to provide a written order on that?
Nope. You want to appeal me? Appeal me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Case should have never been done. Never.
Thank you for letting us know that, Your Honor.
Shockingly, the judge even acquitted the defendant on the spot, leaving the attorney furious. While this judge ruled in favor of the defendant, this next one owned the cops pretty badly.
I'm going to find no probable cause. You understand? Mr. Jones, be careful, man.
In Judge Fleischer's courtroom, a man appeared after being arrested during a fishing stop by the police, and it didn't take long for the truth to be exposed.
In official uniforms and riding in a marked patrol vehicle were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The officer observed the defendant standing outside the location, being told to leave by the resident, to which the defendant refused by verbally yelling at the resident in a loud, aggressive tone of voice. The defendant a verbal command to put his hands behind his back, and the defendant pulled his hand away. The defendant refused to comply with verbal commands, and the defendant held his arms to his chest as the officer attempted to detain him. He yelled at the officer in an aggressive tone and shouted out loud, "Don't let them take me." The officer performed a leg sweep and continued to struggle and the defendant due to him pulling away. He continued to give commands, and the defendant continued to refuse.
I get it. But what's he doing? I mean, he's walking away. That's what they wanted.
Before the defense attorney could even respond, the judge made a brilliant observation, explaining why the officer had retaliated with the arrest.
So, Your Honor, in this case, to read the full dim, it was the disturbance call, and they said they observed him standing outside the above location, being told to leave, and they observed him verbally refuse, and then...
Right, but then cops get up there.
And then they observed him begin to walk away, and it says they approached Jones and observed he was intoxicated in a public place based on his slurred speech, pupil size, and...
Didn't say that.
That was in the complete dims, Your Honor. And then it
Did you know
says...
about that?
and
Yes,
aggressive
Judge,
behavior.
but
Okay,
I
go
have my
ahead.
argument prepared. Judge, my argument is exactly what you started to say. He's coming up and saying, hey, I'm the police. You can walk away from that all day long. My client did walk away from that. My client's loud and emotional, as you can tell here today. You're allowed to walk away emotional, yelling, screaming, even using profanity in this state if you want to. Then the cops come up to him and suddenly there's some kind of unfounded allegation of intoxication. There's absolutely no facts other than that statement. I smell marijuana. You look intoxicated, because it looks like he walked away and the cops didn't want him to walk away.
The attorney raised some excellent points, and by now, it was clear that the arrest was nothing more than an act of ego on the part of the officer.
Argument is based on if he's charged with interference with a public servant, that doesn't come until later. He has to be lawfully arrested and lawfully detained or lawfully with the police before that even occurs.
They go up and they see that he possibly could be intoxicated. So does it go into a potential public intox investigation?
If it does, they need to announce that. You can't just walk up to me and say, I'm the police, stop. We don't live in that kind of society. I'm the police, I need to investigate you, so therefore stop all day long. I'm the police, we're investigating, I need you to step aside, sir, so I can investigate this matter all day long. But hey, I'm the popo.
The officers had clearly made an unintentional mistake, and everything that followed was the fruit of the poisonous tree. It was now likely that the defendant would walk free.
The reasonable suspicion we have is they begin to investigate what?
So
A criminal trespass.
they're called as a disturbance, and they saw him yelling, being aggressive, and then as he walked away, that's when they saw.
So the trespass investigation ceases because he's leaving.
Right.
Yes or no?
It's not specified to be a trespass, Your Honor. It's specified just to be a disturbance.
That's what it is. Okay, but it's a trespass that they're investigating a trespass, right? I mean, for all intents and purposes, isn't that what it is? The investigation begins as a trespass investigation because he's there. Homeowners asked him to leave. He's refused to leave. So cops come and he begins to leave. But the cops go up to try to.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it would be that, yes, he attempted to leave, but once the officers arrived, so they would still need to investigate to determine if a trespass even occurred, to determine,
He's leaving.
He's walking
He's
away.
leaving, right? It's like, here, let me come and mess with you more,
That would only.
right? So it's like adding fuel to a fire.
It's refreshing to see a judge who truly empathizes with the common man and respects the rights of individuals wronged by the police.
Well, they're going up to investigate what they saw, him refusing to leave, and he
leaves.
He only left once they arrived. So with maybe potential fear of apprehension, that's when he decided to leave, which it wouldn't undercut their ability to investigate what they had observed happen in front of them regarding that public or that disturbance that they were called about.
Judge, you can't flee a trespass. The way you comply is by fleeing.
Well, we don't know if it was a trespass, it was a disturbance. We don't always specify the disturbance.
I'm going to find no probable cause.
You understand?
Mr. Jones, be careful, man. We have enough drama in this life, don't we? You don't like to wear orange, do you? Be careful where you go. Be careful what you do. Everyone's always out to get you, man. Don't let them.
Judge Fleischer did an excellent job dismissing the case. Hopefully, more judges across the country will follow suit to ensure corrupt cops can't keep abusing their power. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Today we saw cases where powerful judges took on some corrupt officers and held them accountable. Thanks for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing, leaving a like, and comment if you want more like this.
Where are you going fishing?
Yeah, come on.